Okay.
Jackpot. Okay, evening. Yeah, we're in for a quick bonus edition of Imitating this. Last night we obviously had a quick week. I was on for a brief period where we were discussing various things and some of the things that were coming up basically between the series of this show, which we've got a few episodes of the current series left, and we're reprising in 2025. But I'll be doing something else in the interim period. Largo's back tonight for a quick bonus edition of Imitating this. How are you, mate? You good?
I'm great. I'm glad to be here.
Oh, good. Yeah, because not only could you not make it last night, I guessed that I had to withdraw fairly late on.
Oh, that's a shame. Hopefully, we can have him on another time.
Yeah, well, we're provisionally booked him in for next Friday to discuss a new record. Lee's got a new record out called Searching. Yeah. Yes.
A creative.
Yeah, absolutely. Creatives are the best people, as you well know. Yeah.
Yes, I do. Yes.
So, we're creatives of a fashion. This is creative of a fashion. So, yeah, any fun and games, any excitement with you this week? Anything happened?
No, I was. I went out last night, and then as I came in, I was stumbling around in the kitchen, and YouTube was on the random thing it does, where it just fires up random videos, and I heard Nigel Farage sort of air quoting fair trial. What makes these people entitled to fair trials? And I was like, and I just remember thinking to myself, whoa, this is getting a little creepy when people are air quoting fair trial.
So what was he saying about? What was he saying? Was Farage saying this? What was he saying?
He was talking about asylum seekers.
Yeah, this is a very pernicious trick. I was talking about this with somebody in the wake about it. Something on this ballpark as it happens. Something in this ballpark as it happens, where you've known me for a long time.
Yes.
You're for a right wing guy. I'm an absolute stickler for things like due process, fair trial, innocent till proven guilty. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like ruthlessly so. Yeah. And I think the second you deviate 1 millimeter from that, and I was just talking about this last night from them. The second you deviate from that 1 millimeter. Well done, you've just opened the floodgates. It's like San Marino conceding the first goal. More will follow. Yeah. So it's like, don't do it. Just don't. No. It's actually in the long run, it's better, even if it's inconvenient, even if it's not popular. Give everybody a fair trial.
Exactly, because if you do it with them today, it's going to be me in a year's time.
Exactly. I know there's a slippery slope fallacy, but that is a legitimate slippery slope. And what they'll always do, Largo, is they'll use an emotive example. So they might use a terrorist or a paedophile or whatever. Yeah. And they'll go, but what about? But he's not human.
I'm not a fan of David Icke at all, but he has a saying called problem, reaction, solution.
I think lots of us have a thing like that. So this is where they will. Yes, this is where they will use a problem, or they might even create or encourage a problem, so that they can wind up a certain sentiment amongst people, and then go, well, what if we did this?
Yeah.
Because the other thing they can do, if you turn around and say, well, I think that's excessive, or I think it's the old. This is a logical folly. Have you got any better ideas? Just because. Yeah. Just because you've not got a better idea doesn't mean that the idea on the table is a good idea. So, yeah. Well, actually, could do that at the end of the show. You're going to do a top 10 list at the end of the show. We can do top 10 logical fallacies, or we can do the Channel 4 one if you thought about that earlier.
The 4 one would be interesting. I mean, you said to me before about I just automatically, when you say Channel 4, I just automatically assume Sunday Night Heat, Brookside, TFI Friday. But then you said TFI Friday actually wasn't very good, but I just only watched it for the bands.
No, this is it. So I was just talking to you about TFI Friday earlier as it happened. It's a great concept for a show with the world's most annoying presenter.
Yeah, but
in my view.
I still remember watching Michael Hutchence trying to launch his solo career on TFI Friday. And at the time, it was really exciting. because he didn't try on Top of the Pops. He was doing it on TFI Friday, and it was cool.
Yeah, there was a lot of great moments. There was a lot of great moments on TFI Friday, musically and other things. They had Monaco and Electronic, and Terry Hall was on. Yeah, like some really, really cool people were on. And it's just a shame Chris Evans presented it. You know what I mean? It's like,
in my opinion, on my Friday night, I looked forward to, musically speaking, I looked forward to TFI Friday more than Top of the Pops. I watched both.
Fine. Yeah.
I watched both, but TFI Friday was more interesting musically.
Yeah, it probably had better quality control. That'd be why.
Yeah. Because it would go from like Monaco to Motorhead to Michael Hutchins. You know, it was unpredictable.
Yeah, but not a Spice Girl in sight.
No, there was no Robbie Williams. There was no Spice Girls. No Boys Own. It was better than Top of the Pops from my perspective, but I still watched Top of the Pops.
Yeah, I mean, when it was like half an hour or something. Yeah, I mean, the thing we were Top of the Pops was when it went to just being the top 20, it kind of lost its thing. But
and then they put it on the same time as Coronation Street, and it's like, yeah, no one's going to watch Top of the Pops.
No, I'd only watch Top of the. To be honest, I would only watch Top of the Pops when somebody I like was on it. So you'd find out in the papers during the week or whatever, you know.
Yeah, if it was like Ian Brown or someone interesting.
Yeah,
Ian Brown, straight out of prison, on Top of the Pops tonight. Love is like a fountain. So
you want about when he got done for Air Rage? Was it Ian Brown who got done for Air Rage?
Yeah,
right. Yeah.
Like, straight out of Strange Ways tonight. It's Ian Brown. Your love is like a fountain. Like.
Yeah, and just remember, 10 years ago, he'd have been slopping out of his own cell. Right? Yeah. God bless prison reformers everywhere. Right?
Dancing round in tracksuit bottoms and a Stone Island hoodie jacket thing.
Yeah. Well, there you go. That was that old Rob Newman joke, wasn't it? About, he found it particularly amusing. Remember when the keyboard player from the Charlatans got caught up in an armed robbery? He was a getaway driver. That was particularly funny. I'm planning an armed robbery. Who will I get to getaway doing? Oh my God, it was staring me right in the fucking face. I'll get the keyboard player at the Charlatans.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Absolutely, yeah. We'll get, absolutely, yeah. We'll get. I'll get the bass player from the Inspiral Carpets to run in the shop with me. Yeah, right.
Inspiral Carpets.
Yeah. Well, there were a few bands I know who actually inspired their own haircut. You know, I mean, like, if you went in a barber's and you said, "Give me an Inspiral Carpets," they would at least know what you meant. Yeah.
Apart from there's one of them that's bald.
Right. Yeah. I mean, at the time that they were big, it was the early 90s.
At the time that one of them was bald. I think.
Right.
I can't remember.
Right. Yeah. The rest of us had those kind. The rest of them had those kind of Anwiddicombe pudding balls, didn't they?
Yes. Yeah. Awful haircut. So did the Lightning. Awful haircut.
Yeah, it's bad. It looks like a lampshade.
Yeah. Not to say that they weren't good bands. I mean, both Lightning Seeds and Inspiral Carpets were good bands. They were. Yeah, I love a few. There's a few Lightning Seeds songs I could listen to all day. Yeah, definitely. Like Pure. What a good song.
Yeah, A Sense and Lucky You. Great tunes.
Yeah, Lucky You. Yeah, there's some real good pop tracks. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, for sure. So so they were. So I don't know how we got there, but we did. Oh, we were talking about Channel 4. I said, I'll do my list at the end of the show for the Channel 4 thing.
Yes, I will struggle to think of 10 because when I think of Channel 4, I tend to think of things like The Simpsons, Frasier.
Well, that's a great shout, The Simpsons. It's just because I don't know when that was on. How long that's been on for? Actually,
by the way, I hold the controversial opinion that The Simpsons has been bad since about 1996.
Oh, I wouldn't go back as far as that.
I'm not anymore, especially since they sort of once they strayed from actual written plot stories to celebrities. I was like, this is rubbish.
Yeah, well, there's a couple of things. You made a couple of good points there. I'm going to go slightly later than that. I'm going to say the turn of the millennium was when The Simpsons went really pap. right? Now,
I can pinpoint an episode for you where.
But is it the one with the fake the new Principal Skinner? Because that's the one people point at.
It is, yeah.
So people say, and that was like around 96, 97 sort of order, I think.
I can't remember the name, but it's basically, ironically, it's actually based on a magic realist story. Where I can't think of the author.
Sorry, I think the episode is called. Is it called Principal Seymour Skinner's Badass Son?
Yeah, and
right, yeah.
Basically, this magic realism is a huge literary movement from South America, and I can't think of the name. This is an Argentinian author. Wrote a story about his son, about basically somebody getting killed in the Falklands War and then coming back and claiming the life of his friend that died in the Falklands War. And they did it.
Right. Because Seymour, there are some great lines in that episode, although I appreciate the retcon and the damage, the long-term damage that does to the programme. Right? So my favourite line in that episode, I do love my 90s Simpsons, is the one where he goes, my name's Armand. This is Armand's bedsit. This is Armand's underpants. This is Armand's copy of Swank. And Homer goes, can I borrow a copy of Swank, Armand? And he goes, sure. There's a dirty magazine called Swank.
I do like The Simpsons. It's just, I would say for the majority of the time, it's just not been very good.
No, it's become, right, you make a good point, because what the problem is, The Simpsons started at the end, it was 1989, Simpsons started.
89, because Marge doesn't even have a job. Who does it now in the West?
So it's known as a, it's known as a 90s show. I think it started at the tail end of 1989, if I'm right? If I'm wrong, please contact the show and let me know. And I would say, I'm going to say until the end of the 90s, they were still making more good episodes than bad ones. I get your point about that retcon, because it did it kind of had that breaking the fourth wall effect of now we can do anything we want. Yeah. When you have like characters that people have bought into emotionally, because that's the thing. That's one of the things with The Simpsons. I've got a minute to.
I mean, I would say the best episode they ever did was what was it called? Homer the Heretic. Homer doesn't go to church.
Oh right, no, that's a good one. My favourite Simpsons episode is actually the Mr. Bergstrom one.
Right.
Which is very heartfelt. And that was one of the things about The Simpsons was, yes, it was funny, but it could also do very heartfelt stuff like that.
Yeah.
There was more to it than that. It could be sensitive as well. And even Homer was different. 90s Homer basically 21st century Homer.
Right, basically 21st century Homer's too stupid.
Yes,
yeah. 90s Homer, he was basically a reasonably bright guy with a competent job, who was somewhat feckless, but that was sort of counterbalanced by Marge's frugalism, and they sort of made a good team. But by the millennium, Homer's just a complete moron.
He is. He's become a kind of ghastly parody of himself. The problem with the thing in that 90s Homer that made you kind of buy into him a bit was the fact that you knew he did care about his family. And he did love his kids. There was no question about that. He did love his kids. And he wasn't a bad guy, right? He wasn't a jerk. You couldn't say he just had this comedic knack of screwing up even when he meant well, right? Yeah. Whereas 21st century, it doesn't even mean well. It doesn't have that. Well, that was the thing about The Simpsons was there was that combination of being funny, but also there was an emotive element to the storytelling as well that meant that you like the characters. And that was it. Another tipping point for me, Largo, was in '99 when Phil Hartman died. You know who he was?
Was he the person who voiced Homer?
No, he was the guy who voiced. No, he was a writer on the show, but he also voiced the characters. He did Troy McClure, if you remember him.
I do. You may remember me from other things as
John McClane was brilliant. And also he did Lionel Hutz Attorney at Law. You also get this smoking monkey.
Yeah. My favourite non-main character was probably Mo.
Well, the thing is, we all kind of know a Mo, don't we?
We do. We
all kind of know a Mo. He's like this kind of weird cocktail of, loneliness, anger, and a little bit of sexual deviance thrown in.
Yeah.
We all know a Mo. It's like
Indeed.
There's something a little bit unsettling about him. If there were dead bodies found in his basement, you wouldn't be that shocked, would you? Right?
Absolutely not. No.
No, but that's right. And that's the thing. The Simpsons, they did it very. Those original writers, and Phil Hartman was part of that. Was they designed very multifaceted characters, and they designed characters that were, you could get into the character. That's very important in any drama or fiction, Marco. Is you'd have to design. Go on.
You have to care about the character. You have to.
Yes, so the character have to have some effort put into them, and they have to have more than one kind of string to their bow, and they have to have more than one facet to them.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
definitely.
And that's why if you look at a particularly kind of bad drama, it will invariably be because those characters have not any thought put into them. No care, no love, or nothing.
No.
And that's the thing. So that was the tipping point for me was when Phil Hartman died, because Phil Hartman apparently was one of the best writers on the show, and I think go on.
They did a really good episode on the it wasn't the Masons, but it was
the Stonecutters, you mean?
Yeah. That was. I thought.
What was it? We do.
Keeps the metric system down.
Who rigs every Oscar? I mentioned that episode last night. Actually, I was talking about briefly. I was talking about why socialism doesn't work. I'm sure you'll respond to me very soon on that if you want. But I was saying that in a socialism situation, the unproductive and the state ends up being like the stone of shame around the leg of the economy. It's like.
Yeah.
Well, that beautiful moment where he gets the stone of shame, doesn't he? Because he was wiping his mouth on the parchment, wasn't he? He was he was wiping his mouth on the parchment and blowing his nose or something. And they put the stone of shame on him, and they realise he's the chosen one, right? And they go, "Oh my God, he's the chosen one! Release the stone of shame. Attach the stone of triumph." It's this massive fuck off boulder, isn't it?
Yeah.
I
don't think I'm speaking out of school here when I say how many years ago now? In 2006, I was working in a catering establishment that hosted Masonic meetings, and at the time I didn't really have a clue what it was, but they used to close these doors to the bar and have their Masonic things, and I kind of wish I'd at least, because at the time I was just a kid, and I didn't give a shit. I was like, oh right, whatever, boring old people stuff. But now I wish I'd sort of bothered my arse to try and listen to what was going on.
Well, you don't know. I'm not going to say the Masons is one organisation. There's actually a lodge down here where I live. There's actually a lodge about a minute away between mine and the roundabout where the Asda is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's about a minute from mine down the street, and it's the lodge. There were people going in and out of the lodge on Thursdays. It happened. I don't know. I mean, the Masons. I certainly don't trust them as a group because I don't trust any. I don't. Go on.
I just didn't care. I just couldn't care less. I was like, I was at that mindset where it's like, just drink up, eat up, and go home. I want to finish my shift. type thing. I didn't care. Like now, I'd be so interested in that if I was working there. If I was working there now, I'd be like, oh my god, I've got to find out more. But being the age I was like, oh, just go away, you boring old boomers.
Well, I don't blame you for wanting to finish your shift and go home. That's most people with an hour or so of the day left. The Masons. I wouldn't say the Masons are like one homogenous organisation. You know, I mean, I'm sure that because there's 33 degrees in the Masons, isn't there? It's 33 degrees. Yeah.
The old, what is it? Are you? What did they say?
The old Scottish Rite and all that.
Are you on the level?
Sorry?
Or don't they ask if you're in the Masons? They don't say, are you in the Masons? Say, are you on the level?
Right, yeah, is that right? Hence the phrase "on the level," and the other phrase being that comes from the Masons being the third degree, which is like
I can't they're a good or a bad thing because I just know basically nothing about them.
No, look, what has always made me suspicious about the Masons, and I may be doing individual Masons a great disservice. So if you are a member of the Masons, you want to defend your organisation, get in touch. But I've never had a great deal of confidence in any organisation where one of the rules is we look after our own no matter what, right? And that's pretty much the rule in the Masons. You know, like you are there. Your principal loyalty is to other Masons.
Wasn't it in the 70s and the 80s? Wasn't it like riddled with police?
Well, yeah. Yeah. The Masons were fine until the police joined and corrupted them. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Doug Stanhope has a similar joke to that about the Catholics and the Nazis.
Yeah, that was the one. The Nazis were fine until the Catholics joined.
No, they were saying like the Nazis were around for like 8 years and they got their asses kicked, but the Catholics have been around for like close to like 300 years of misery, child abuse. You know, it's like be careful of that. Be careful of that Catholic. Be careful of that Nazi. He used to be a Catholic. Not be careful of that Pope. He used to be a Nazi. It's like be careful of that Nazi. He used to be a Catholic.
Yeah, well, the Pope. I've forgotten his name, but the Pope during Hitler's time was known for his brutality and was actually known as Hitler's Pope.
Yeah.
So. But the thing with the Masons is like you said there. So it's when they go and join a public institution like the police in large numbers.
I remember watching. I can't remember who it was. I remember there was somebody saying there's Labour councillors that are Masons. So it's like a left-right thing. They're in the Labour Party. They're in the Tory Party. They're everywhere.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I've been warning against the. I know we've all got our own kind of idea about how we should do politics and what we personally go for, but in terms of the tribal Labour Tory thing, I've been trying to sort of say for a long time that is a useless paradigm to be on, because it's amazing how.
I'm heading in that direction now. Now I'm seeing the reality of the Labour government. I'm starting to think like, oh yeah.
You see the Labour Party now. The ones that come out with today about how they said they weren't going to increase taxes for working people. Right? Yeah. So I suppose technically that means we're not going to increase the basic rate of income tax or national insurance, right? But what they're going to do instead is freeze the thresholds forever to drag more and more people in, but that's also the middle income threshold as well. So the other rate at which you get all these lower middle class people who will soon be paying 40% tax, which is crazy. So you've got the Labour Party hammering poor people even worse than the Tories did. And you've actually got a massive state in this country that no one can tell you what it does.
Well, it doesn't actually do much, does it? I mean, what does the state actually have control over in the UK apart from foreign policy?
Well, you know, the state is now like like 45% of GDP now. You basically, I was saying last night actually, because it was just me doing a monologue. It was like some strange fireside chat addressed to the nation, and I was like, you've actually got a 45% state now. You've got a socialist state technically, but it doesn't do the things you want a socialist state to do, does it?
No, it does nothing.
It
I mean,
doesn't.
it's completely malfunctioning. It. I always think if Britain was a person, it would be some. How to say? It would be like some alcoholic, maladjusted, dysfunctional, gambling sort of person you bump into in a bookies.
Right, okay. Well, at least you said a bookies and not like on Church Street going, have you got any change, mate? It's funny, I've just come back from Preston and like it's sad. It's sad how many people you run into who are like that. And it's a shame because some of them
I
are
don't even think
genuinely.
Preston's that bad.
Right, well, it has been. You've got, you had like the camp outside British Home Stores for a while as well. It's a shame because some of them.
I know Morecambe's really bad.
Yeah. The sadness is, of course, you don't know who the genuine ones are, who are the grifters. There are people who have tragically they've chosen to live that life. Now they've actually chosen. Yeah.
I would say if you are sort of in favour of or against a welfare state, wherever if you have strong feelings about a welfare state, I would encourage everyone to watch a film called Cinderella Man.
That's the film about James J. Braddock, the boxer, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's more than a boxing film. I see it as also a film about the realities of how being poor is for most people. Most people who are poor are not feckless, are not parasitic or greedy. I don't know if you've seen it.
I've read a book about James Braddock, so that'll help. Okay. Yeah, I know he was down on his luck more than once.
But just I won't do any spoilers, but just at the end where he repays his what you will call
his welfare check, as they call it in America.
Job seekers allowance. What's it called? Universal credit, or he goes back to the job centre and repays because he's made it he's won the world heavyweight title, and he goes back down the unemployment office and repays with interest the money that he took from the state.
Oh, right, okay. Well, yeah, he didn't have to do that, but it was nice of him to do so.
Because he felt like he was undeserving of it. He felt bad having to claim it, but he had to.
Well, you shouldn't feel bad about it if you are. Put it this way: if you genuinely have to, and if you genuinely are looking to improve your situation, nobody should feel. I signed on briefly when I left college. It happens, and I did. But that's the thing. In a way, I did feel bad. Because I did want to change it quickly, and I wanted to get a job and get.
Do you remember? I don't know, because I know when I did after university, I remember you just kind of at this weird point of like scrambling around looking for any kind of anything, and I even went to the extent of like going down the careers office of the Royal Navy, like just please somebody, you just sort of like grasping around for anything.
Yeah, it's a shame that people are coming out of university like that now, because it used to be people really coming out of school not knowing what they were going to do.
University doesn't really set you up.
No.
You do have a lot of skills. You come out a good writer. You depending on what you study, you do come out with skills, but you don't really know how to sell yourself.
No, and the other thing is that, I don't know how to put this. There's a couple of things here, Largo. One is that a degree isn't the unique selling point that it once was, right? Because they've put so many people through university now that if everybody's got a degree, nobody's got one. That makes any sense.
Well, I disagree. I think it's an advantage to society at large. that so many people are educated to that level and do have that grasp of their own language, which is something we really can't take for granted, that do have that level of literacy skills that people who haven't been to university don't have. And also, one thing you do get when you go to university is it kind of it's sort of putting checks and balances on your own ideas.
In what respect, mate? I'll come back to your earlier point in a second. What do you mean?
You sort of taught to view things through the prism or through the filter of, like, at least what I study, English literature. You view different text. I mean, I can only speak for what I study, but you view different texts through the prism of different ideologies. So it's not like you're viewing, I think this or I think that. Okay, so what would a postmodernist think? What would a modernist think? What would you learn different theories, and then you learn to view how different theorists would view different texts.
Okay.
I think is quite a. I mean, even you might not agree with feminism, but it's interesting to know how feminists would view different things.
Well, but it's a bit like the Masons. I don't think feminism is one thing. So it depends what you mean by feminism. If you're talking about individual females or groups of females.
I mean, the text we talked about this is going back a long time, was a book called The Female Eunuch by a literary critic called Germaine Greer.
Right, I know Germaine Greer, yeah.
Yeah, that was the text that we discussed. Well, I mean, even if you don't agree with it, it's interesting reading. And I have to say, I enjoyed my degree, and I think I came out stronger for it. And I'm glad I did it, and I don't regret it.
Well, Germaine Greer is the kind of feminist I can go along with and like, in the sense that, if you pissed her off, she'd probably just knee you in the nuts, right? I think that but yeah, we could talk about feminism another time and how it's evolved into something else.
I'm not a fan of it, but some are, some aren't. I mean, it's not my cup of tea.
I would much prefer her to one of these sort of whiny new age feminists who seem to just go spend their entire lives hating men. But there you go.
Yeah, absolutely. But she's not the kind of person I'd want to spend a particularly large amount of time with.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, it's cool. Fair enough. But in terms of your point about university, the problem is, Largo, that when I was because my academic year was the very first one that got tuition fees imposed on it, right?
Right.
And the aim of tuition fees and the justification for it was that New Labour, one of their policies was that they wanted to send 50% of students to university. Remember that?
Which I think is an admirable thing.
Okay, I'll tell you why I think it's a terrible idea. And the reality is that what had existed in prior to '97 was actually about 10 to 15% of students went, but it was free. And so the state was spending about the same amount on university education, but people were going for free, and working class kids were getting grants, and things like that. So now, what ended up happening instead was, instead of it being an elite qualification, it now ceases to be an elite qualification, and to get half to make it's a
why do we have to have elites? Why can't we all just be educated?
Well, no. The point is, a degree is supposed to be an elite level qualification. It is something that it has value in the fact that not many people have one. If 1 in 7 people have one, it means you really do know what you're talking about. Yeah, but then you've got A levels. You've got A levels beneath that, which
universities are there to serve society. And I don't think it's about employment or productivity. I think it's about making people better informed, making people more competent in their own language, putting checks and balances on intellect. It's got bugger all to do with how,
people
Why does everything have to be about growth? Why does everything have to be about
nothing. I didn't say it. I didn't say anything about
for the sake of learning.
I didn't say anything about that. I didn't say anything about that. I said that right, there's nothing. By the way, you can learn. You don't have to do a degree to learn. You know, you could read
No, of
books.
course not. You can learn. I don't know. You can learn something like making stained glass windows or.
For sure, or you can go to night school and do a literature course there. It just won't. You just won't get a degree at the end of it, right? The thing about a degree was that very few people got one. It was a very rigorous qualification, right? A very rigorous qualification that a tiny number of people got, and yet people still studied literature or Renaissance art or whatever. You know, they didn't all go and do. They didn't all go and do something that they did for a job.
No.
Right. So. And then you had this very relatively small number of people who really, really knew their stuff, and they got it in a degree. It really jumped out the page, and it was that they included working class kids who had gone to grammar schools or comprehensive schools, and they got there on the basis of their sheer ability and hard work, right?
Well, I speak as somebody who went to a grammar school, and this mythical. I never came across this mythical council estate kid that went to a grammar school.
Okay.
I never met anybody from a council estate in the grammar school I attended.
How many kids were there?
I'd say it's about 1,000.
Oh, okay. And right, and what? So was that everyone was some kind of like middle class suburbia, or?
Pretty much, like kids of NHS consultants, police officers, teachers, basically parents who had the time to cultivate their child's intellect.
Right.
Generally, at the generation that we were, if you were working class, you were probably stressed. And due to your finances, and that stress would sort of percolate down to the children, and that stress would take up bandwidth within their brains, which would have otherwise been used for intellectual pursuits and academic excellence. So no, basically post Thatcher, the mythical council estate kid did not exist.
Right, you mean in grammar schools? You mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. No. I've met many critiques of
totally against grammar schools.
Totally against them.
Yeah, I'd abolish them.
You mean the whole principle of selection by ability? You're against it?
Yeah, I despise it. Absolutely despise it. On a just on a moral basis, it repulses me as much as the class.
So, what you say? Right. So I'm the sort of person.
I actually work. So this is my area. I work in education. I'm a teacher, and I'm completely against any form of. I'm even against sets within schools. I don't even like that.
Right. Well, I'll tell you. Right. Well, I would definitely draw the line at that for a very simple reason. Because I can remember being in sort of sets 1 or 2 for everything. Okay, and typically have 4, and I don't want. I'll be level with you. I do have a degree of, even back then, I had a degree of getting on with my work and trying to learn, right?
Right.
And I don't want, how do I put this, disinterested delinquents, disrupting my education, right? Or
right, but then you've got to think if that is happening. Bear in mind, I work within an education system that doesn't have sets. What's the problem with society that's cultivating that?
Well, okay, that's a wider social problem, but I think part of the problem is if you've got somebody trying to get their head down and get some work done,
in Spain, there's no sets.
Right. So do you think it's a British problem?
It's reflective of life in that within one classroom there will be a variety of abilities and strengths and weaknesses, and it is the responsibility of the teacher to deal with that. Okay,
right, but so what happens when you want to discuss something? Particularly if you get further on, you get towards sort of 15, 16, you want to discuss something a bit complicated, or you're all doing Shakespeare, say, right? And you've got this vast range of abilities. You've got people who can really read between the lines of this and give you some detailed analysis of what's going on.
Basically,
and something you can barely read at all. You get the point I'm getting at.
There's this system where basically kids who have a handle of something will volunteer their names forward, and they will tutor kids who are struggling on how to do it.
Well, kids shouldn't be tutoring other kids. It's not fair on that. Well, okay, yeah, I don't know how that works in practice.
No, basically what happens is there's what they call there's free periods where kids can talk to each other on strengths and weaknesses, and also there's office hours with teachers where you can knock on your teacher's door and say, hey, I don't understand this, could you give me some pointers? And teachers will then give that child like a doctor's surgery a more in-depth explanation of what the problem is.
Is this a Spanish thing, Largo?
Well, yeah, this is what happens in Spain.
Right. I don't remember ever having such treats to look forward to in England.
No. This is. I mean, I don't know what happens in England now. I've only ever worked within the Spanish education system. I'm just saying what happens within the Spanish education system.
Right. Well, right. So
Teachers have office hours where you can basically you put your name in, and the office hours are written on the door of the teacher, and you sort of write your name on the teacher's door of an office hour that's available, and then you just turn up at that time and get some help on whatever problem it is you have.
Right. Okay. Right. Well, that sounds useful. I mean, obviously, it's a long time since I've been at school, but I didn't get any free periods at school. I mean, that was a college thing. Right. And I don't know. I tended to spend them down the Fox and Lion, to be honest with you, because the ones in the afternoon anyway.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, we're all 17 or 18.
They have this huge thing on student-led learning.
Right, well, that's great. It's a great culture, but and it's interesting what we were talking about because in terms of I was thinking about I said this to somebody the other day about you showed me those videos from Mr. Rafai, which were very very revelatory and interesting.
Martin Rafai.
Yeah, sorry.
Martin Rafai.
No, Mr. Rafai, the teacher.
Oh right, yeah.
Right, yeah. The Australian guy, yeah. And we were talking about I've talked to a mate of mine about something, and he was on about something that he'd seen going on, in the street or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know what, we have arguments all the time about what sort of politics or economic model would be best, right? But I think that's is the problem actually, back to the football analogy, We've just got crap players, i.e. people. Actually, British people are getting worse. Is that just me?
I think basically what's happened since 1980s is in Britain and America, you've kind of started to be rewarded for being a crap person.
Well, I don't. Yeah, there's kind of a. I don't know. There's a mentality. I'm going to send you that list in the week, and we can agree or disagree. But there's so many ways you can game the system now, and it's not just confined to one kind of behaviour. There's loads, right? So one is become one of those awful vulture capitalists, or an asset stripper or something like that, and you make loads of money. It's like probably kind of scumbag rent-seeking stuff where you're not producing and making anything. You're not running a successful company.
It's like we could talk all day about HR.
We could, but my HR department are probably watching, so let's not. Even HR department, if you're watching.
Good evening, guys.
Whoa! I did not call anybody that. Whoa! Right, I did not call anybody that. Right, it's like what I will say is that there's a lot of professions like this. It's like doctors, police officers, whatever. Right, it's a bit of a cliche, but some truth in it. The average copper on average is a pretty good guy or girl. Yeah,
it depends on the person.
Right, but Right. So, I mean, it's wrong to label any profession with like the same brush sort of thing, but you'll get bad apples in all walks of life. That's my experience. What we were talking about, yeah. So we were talking about ways to game systems. So, but what I've found is that whatever way it is, whether it's a quote left wing way or a right wing way, there are so many people looking to game one system or another, rather than being honest. And like, I know I'm going to do something productive of value and get paid a decent amount of money for it. Yeah. So whether that's somebody trying to squeeze the rag in some way, be an asset stripper, be a vulture capitalist, exploiting other people, or on the other end, people pretending to be disabled, have the bad back.
Well, you know why that is.
Yeah.
You know what that is? Because being good isn't good enough anymore.
Well, no, it's not, and it's like an infectious thing as well. So people see. Yeah, I mean, this is what you said about being a good person, right? I mean, I know exactly what you mean in this sense, because one of the things that happen, if you've seen these awful television shows like The Apprentice and Dragon's Den and stuff like that,
Clarkson's Farm and just.
Yeah, no, they make me want to puke, right? Shows like that, and it's because they promote a certain kind of like low functioning capitalist, like mercenary, like almost like it's almost like the American Psycho approach to capitalism. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like. No, I mean, like most of the people I know who run small businesses, they might run a shop on the high street, or they might run a store on the market.
Chip shop
yeah, they're nothing like that. They'll just smile at you. They'll say, "Hello, how's your day?" So they're not like Alan. Yeah, they're not like Alan Sugar or that scary guy who used to run Millwall, right?
The Greek guy, yeah.
Yeah, they're not ruthless psychopaths.
They're just like human beings.
They are the nice people. It's when people say, people come up with that lazy trope, I hate capitalism. Oh, for God's sake, just go down the high street and go in a small shop and talk to the owner and buy something.
It's somebody's way of making a living and surviving.
Yeah, right. So it's like police officers or people who work in HR. Can we not tar people with the same brush? Not everybody who is engaged in capitalism is some sort of deranged lunatic.
These people. I mean, I'm saying this as a socialist. These people make high streets more interesting places to be, because what's the number one complaint of people now? Oh, it's just full of franchises. It's like you've got a Greggs, a Cash for Gold, a Job Centre, Pound Bakery, Subway, River Island. I don't know.
And those staples, the bookies, the pawnbrokers. We buy any stolen thing. Charity shops, charity shops galore. And the plethora of Turkish barbers and things like that.
That are cash only.
Yeah, and I'm not saying anything, but obviously some may or may not be money laundering vehicles for various things. The plethora of vape shops, nail bars, things like that.
shops, yeah.
These random businesses never have any customers, but everyone's doing well.
They're always there.
Yeah, nobody ever goes in and spends any money.
How many beauticians are there these days? It's like I don't see any people. I don't see people being more beautiful than before. There's a lot of beauticians. I don't.
Speak for yourself, sweetheart. Yeah. Well, look. No, but this is the thing. I mean, people saying like the high street doesn't have any character and it's dead and that kind of thing. I don't know what I would do about that. I mean, I think business rates are a big problem. I think the things that they've done that have absolutely fucked with energy prices have really the small business. This is the thing about these kind of taxes. The small businesses will suffer the most Just like when they try when they put taxes on meat or sugary drinks or unhealthy food or anything like that, it's poor people who suffer. It's the people at the bottom end who suffer, and it's the same when you do it to businesses. It's the small artisans who suffer. It's not the big chains.
No.
So so if you want to revive the high street, there's all sorts of things you can do, but one of them is to stop. Actually give them a fighting chance and stop stealing the money off them, government. But there you go. So we were talking about that last night. What else were we talking about? Oh, the lockdown was the other thing we were on about. So,
less said about that, the better. I mean,
well, the last time I heard, there was a scare about monkeypox. I think they were going to try and wheel monkeypox out as the new COVID.
I was dreading that.
Yeah, well, let's see how it goes. Yeah.
Is it still a thing, or have they forgotten about it?
Monkeypox. Well, if you've got monkeypox, please contact the show. If you know of anyone who has monkeypox, please do. Yeah.
I remember when I first landed in Spain, and there was a scare with my second year in Spain, there was a scare with a virus. I forget what it's called. No. Somebody came over from, a nurse came back from Africa with a virus. What was it called? And it was supposed to be the next big pandemic, and it wasn't. And this was 2014. And then nothing was heard again. And then suddenly March 2020, the whole COVID thing just exploded.
Oh, wow. Yeah. We seem to be getting away with that one at the moment, but we won't try other words. But
the thing that went around the world really quickly.
Yeah, and we're not about Phileas Fogg either. Right.
No.
Right. All news of John Lennon's death. I see that guy from One Direction. Someone from One Direction died in the last day or two.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah. What did One Direction do? I've heard of them, but what did they do? Did they do anything memorable? Did they do any famous songs or anything? Right.
No.
Right.
Not. I don't even think any of them were like did any kind of acting or anything. It was just, I don't know. Right.
Okay. So there was
Ebola. That was it. Ebola when it.
Oh right, I vaguely remember the Ebola thing. Yeah,
I remember in Spain saying like at the time like it somebody from Spain had just landed in Madrid with it, a nurse, and she was being treated for it, and everyone was like, "Oh, it's going to spread," and it didn't. And then they were talking about it again when the whole thing happened with the thing that went around the world and had us all confined to our houses for. I forget how long. Seemed like an age. Yeah.
Okay, right. I'll tell you what we'll do. What we can do is, hopefully they won't try and lock us all, put us on the house arrest for a year again, like they did last time. And hopefully, if they do try,
they would if they would if they could.
Yeah, well, hopefully more people will ask all good questions and we'll put some resistance up this time. It can't just be you, me, and Peter Hitchens, can it? Right.
I don't forget Jeremy Corbyn's brother, of all people.
Yeah, Piers Corbyn. Yeah, I know someone who used to work with Piers Corbyn on a show when it happened.
He was actually really good.
That was a box of frogs, though.
No.
Tell you what, we've been going for 54 minutes. So how's that been for a Saturday night? Right. I'll tell you what we could do. You there, mate?
Yeah, mate.
Yeah. Okay. We just went a bit quiet for a bit muffled there for a second. Right. So we'll do this then. The top 10 things ever screened on Channel 4. Someone's just come up with some great suggestions here while we've been on, as it happens.
You know the music video Thriller was premiered on Channel 4.
Was it? Right, they should have been in there maybe. Right, I've missed an obvious one here.
It was a one-off. I don't know if anybody's watching and knows any different. Please let us know. But as far as I'm aware, the music video Thriller, in the UK at least, was premiered on Channel 4 on Halloween.
Right, okay.
The music video itself, I think, is between 12 and 15 minutes long, the whole thing.
Right. Well, yeah, it is. It is. I know it's a very long video. Yeah.
It was pretty early in Michael Jackson's solo career.
It was. It was. But back when he was written for music. Yeah. It was early.
Also, it is a very good song.
Yeah.
From a pop music perspective, I don't think
Yeah.
I don't think I'm wrong in saying it's an objectively good song.
Oh, look, I mean, like, I was never into Michael Jackson's music, right? But I mean, like,
but you can objectively view something and say, yeah, that, like, I would be proud of that if I'd written it.
Yeah, I mean, right probably from like the early, from like Thriller up to Bad, right? I mean, like he was consistently the stuff he was, that had his name on it, and was some of the best pop music that's of that, for the type of music that it is. It's like Prince, right? I'm not into Prince, but I understand, like, for the type of music that it is, it's effing brilliant. I'm never going to be into it. Whereas somebody like Queen, for instance, I just think it's throwaway crap. A
lot of it, yeah.
Yeah, but something like Michael Jackson. Before we think about other things, which we can't completely ignore and get out of our heads. The music that he was connected with and had his name on the front from sort of like the early '80s until Bad was like 1988 sort of order. It was a consistently very high standard. I don't think you can argue with that.
No. It was good. It was good.
Yeah.
I mean, the other guy, I think was it Noel Gallagher who admitted to saying, like, growing up in the 70s, he was naming all these bands that he enjoyed, like David Bowie, Roxy Music, and then he just drops in like Gary Glitter. He said, like, nope, like back in the 70s, objectively speaking, Gary Glitter his music was objectively good.
Well, of course it was at the 70s. Yeah, of course it was.
Pop music. Yeah. If you're into pop music, because he was naming like the bands he liked, like David Bowie, Slade, Roxy Music, and he goes like, objectively speaking, like Gary Glitter was like pop music wise. If you're talking about if you had written that music, you'd be very pleased with yourself.
Well, for sure. He sort of tailed off a bit after that because he tried making a comeback in the '80s as well, didn't he? But
I mean, he opened. He was at the opening ceremony of the 1994 World Cup.
What was he?
Yeah, he performed.
Okay. Was that when Diana Ross did a Ronnie Rosenthal and missed an open goal?
Yeah. I mean, like I say, if anybody's watching knows any different, please let me know. Maybe I'm confusing tournaments. But I'm pretty sure Gary Glitter was performing at the opening ceremony of the '94 World Cup.
Right, the '94. Right, so
this is a long time before he got, outed as what he was, but he was a big name.
Yeah, it is. It opens up a different. I mean, that's one of those where I could never ever listen to one of his records again, and you won't hear a record. You won't hear a record if it's on the radio.
I didn't even go and watch the film. Once I heard his music being used in The Joker, the film, I was like, yeah, I don't want to watch that.
Right. Yeah, it's one of those where I just it's.
I mean, I don't know how much he gets for every play, but I know every time the song by the Police, what's it called? The biggest Police song, "I'll Be Missing You."
Oh, Every Breath You Take.
Every Breath You Take. Every time that's played, Sting gets £63.
£63?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
No, what played where?
Anywhere.
What, like on the radio? You get 63? Because if you think about every radio station in the country, right?
No, in the world.
Right, and across the world, right? So if I don't know, if the Albanian version if the Albanian version of Radio 1 played Every Breath You Take on their breakfast show, say, right? What? That he'd get a check for £63?
Something like that.
I can't possibly believe that. That would not.
That's why he does all his charity stuff.
No, that can't be right. Not 63 quid. No, because I've been I've had the conversation about royalties with people. Yes, it's more like 63 pence. Honestly, it can't be. It must be more like 63 pence. Seriously. Right, let's crack on with this Channel 4 list. I think we should do it. All right, and I've missed the really obvious
I'm coming
one.
in at number 10. I'm coming in at number 10 and I'm saying Cheers.
Oh God, Cheers! Right, so that's Roseanne Barr, isn't it? No,
That was a
Cheers.
Tuesday night, I think Tuesday night show. Yeah. Cheers. I used to like Cheers. At number 9, I'm coming in with Cutting Edge documentary series. Very good.
Okay.
Oh gosh, right now you've got me on the.
I've got a top 10 written down, so should I go through it?
Yeah.
Trigger those. So number 10, I've got Games Master.
Oh, Dominic Diamond. Yeah, I used to like
Dominic Diamond and Patrick Moore as the brain, as Krang. Yeah,
it's like in a church or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he had Jake the Snake Roberts on it once.
But I'll find that. We'll find that on YouTube later. The number nine is I've got Dispatches at number 9. Okay, so yes, we're on the same boat with that.
Dispatches.
Right.
Yeah.
Number 8, Father Ted. I have.
Great show.
Number 7, Under the Moon. That was the late night sports show that we were discussing with Gary Naylor when he was on. Evening, Gary, if you're watching.
Yeah.
Number 6, The Crystal Maze.
Yeah.
Well, okay, you may not have it in your top 10. That's fine. It was a very big show at the time.
But, big show. I just found it a bit annoying.
Do you find Richard O'Brien a bit annoying? It's okay.
No, I thought he was quite good. It was just the contestants, the way they were trying to encourage each other was annoying. It was like this, come on, Tim. Yeah, to the right, to the left. It's just like, oh, shut up.
I know what you mean. It was very kind of, I don't know, having a rounders match.
It was like a poor man's Krypton Factor.
Right, okay. Number 5, I had The Tube, the music show from the 80s.
Okay.
Right. Number 4, Test Cricket, when Channel 4 had it. They had it for a few years.
Late 90s, 99
Late 90s and early 2000s as well. And I think at the very end it went to Channel 5, didn't it?
Yeah. I remember watching it on Channel 5. Yeah.
Knowing me as you know me, the top 3 will not be a shock to you in any way. So number 3, I've got Trans World Sport.
Wasn't that about? That was the show that was on Stupid O'Clock in the Morning. We're about
7 o'clock on Saturday morning.
We're here in Belgium today for the World Championship welly throwing competition.
Yes, brilliant. Yeah. Here, and over in the Netherlands, we've got the World Clog Dancing. First round.
No, over to Hungary for the World Championship lawnmower racing competition.
Now I would actually watch that. In fact, the World Lawnmower Racing Championship. I've heard the BBC.
The Le Mans 24-hour of lawnmower racing.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and here's I don't know. Here's Johan Elriksson, and he's known as the. Here's Johan Elriksson.
Some Scandinavian guys like the world champion.
Yeah, and he's become a poster boy of lawnmower racing.
The Scandinavian playboy.
Yeah, he's attracted many female fans to the sport. Yeah.
With his good looks and devil-may-care attitude.
Yeah, and his lawnmower, obviously, right? Right. That's it. Yeah, right.
Brilliant.
Yeah, and the other great thing about Transformers, I was like, oh my god, it's the most obvious thing in the world. Like, do you remember Botan, the TV series Botan in the 90s?
Yeah, I do.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you remember one of the women who Rich and Eddie used to go on about was Sue Carpenter?
Yeah.
I've got a photograph of Sue Carpenter taped to the fridge. And what if we put when they get the gas man and they go, what if we sell it? Yeah, what if we sellotape the toilet of Sue Carpenter to his face? You tuck in then. well, that female narrator on Trans World Sport was Sue Carpenter. The woman who used to be. There was a man and a woman, wasn't there? Right? Was it a former newsreader, wasn't she? Right.
I remember watching it, but I
can't.
I think it was just because before the internet, you'd just watch anything.
Well, you would, and anything sporty as well. If you were into sport, then you watched anything, didn't you?
The other week, I used to watch British basketball, not American basketball. I used to actually follow British basketball.
Right, yeah. What was the standard like?
God, I don't know. I had no comparison because there was NBA wasn't on TV, and it was like Sunday afternoon. There was nothing to do. They'd show some basketball. It was like Sheffield against Portsmouth on BBC, and you just watch it because, well, that's all there is.
It's either this or songs of praise, basically. I mean,
yeah, and then maybe after it they'd show like the Five Nations highlights or something, rugby special or whatever, and you watch that.
Yeah, but that used to be all right. Rugby special was all right, but then they also see Ski Sunday on as well as Sunday night.
I'd watch it. I'd watch Ski Sunday if only for the theme tune.
Yeah, 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 and then. God, yeah, Sundays were grim days. Back in the days of 4 channels and then 5.
I was strangely happy though to watch whatever was on.
No, I know, and I think it's one of those things where sometimes like it does make you appreciate what is on a little bit more, and it makes you a bit less fussy, doesn't it?
Yeah, I wasn't fussy at all. Some Italian football, rugby special, Ski Sunday, British basketball. That was a good time for me. That was a good time. Watch it with a sherbet dip, and I'd make the you literally just lick the licorice, stick it in the sherbet dip. That'd last me all afternoon, and maybe I'd have a Beano, and I'd be happy. Well,
there you go. That's simpler times, as they say. There you go. I think I was more like, God, what would it be? I'd be more like
I wasn't allowed a games console, so.
No, but it's like, if you got it, would be. I don't think what you'd have. Maybe a few digestive biscuits or a flask of coffee or something. Right. But I'm a couple of years older than you, aren't I? Right. But the other thing, right. So yeah, you mentioned it. So number 2, I can't believe it. The one I've missed is Countdown. But I've never been a big Countdown fan. But there you go. Countdown would be an obvious one.
Yeah. Countdown. Countdown.
I've never been a massive fan of it, but I should have included it because I've included 5 and 10, and I wasn't massive on that either.
I remember my dad actually applied. He never got on to 15-1.
We had a neighbour growing up who was on that and got to the final one year.
Right.
Yeah,
my dad was well, I've told you before, he was like an Arthur Daly type of guy. So he never really worked regular hours. He just sort of. He'd turn up with like VHSs or just random shit that nobody wanted to sell, and spend his days watching. He religiously watched 15-1.
Right. Okay. Right. Well, yeah. Right. So 15-1. Yeah, that was with William G. Stewart.
It was.
The immortal question being question or nominate. Yeah. So you got 3 lives, didn't you? It's a very simple concept for a game show as well. God,
yeah, I don't think they won money or anything. I think it was literally just for like
bragging rights of saying you've won. Yeah, that was it.
Yeah, like similar to Countdown. I think you win a teapot or something.
Yeah, but you get to come back next time. On 15-1, you got to the final. I don't know if you got any money. You must have got a hotel stay out of it, something like that as well.
You must have done, yeah, and like a meal voucher limit or something,
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. So number 2 on our list, my list anyway, I don't know if you're making a list of your own as we talk, is Brookside. So that was my soap opera of choice anyway.
Okay. Yeah, I watched it. I liked it when what was it? I remember a storyline with Jimmy Corkill. Was it like 1 minute he was like a bouncer? No, 1 minute he was like a drug dealer, then he was a bouncer, and then I wouldn't watch it for a bit. I'd turn it on again, and suddenly he's a teacher. Yeah,
it was a mad story. Yeah, it wouldn't happen in real life, we don't think. It might do now, you never know. But you're right. He was a prolific drug user originally. Then just give you a bit of background.
and then he'd be working in, and you turn on again, and he'd be working in like a McDonald's type place.
Yeah. So do you want a little bit of the Jimmy Corkill backstory just to make sense of that, or Brookside sense of it anyway? So in the 80s, he was a prolific drug user. He was a bit of a gangster, bit of a wild boy, and he was a drug user. Anyway, the reason that Ron Dixon and Jimmy Corkill hated each other, right, was Jimmy Corkill got coked up once in his car and lost control of the car and mowed Ron Dixon's son down and went to jail for a few years for manslaughter for it. Right? So he gets out of jail, like around the turn of the 90s, I think. And then he says, you got to, but this is the problem, this is a legitimate problem. A lot of people who've been to prison is their difficulty getting legitimate employment. So one of the great reasons for reoffending by ex-prisoners is because of, perhaps understandably, there is a reticence amongst the employers to take someone on who's just come out of jail for whatever. But this is like a vicious circle that they'll get into. So he becomes a dealer. So Jimmy becomes a dealer, and then he Jackie thinks he's a salesman or something, which he kind of is.
Well, definitely a door-to-door salesman. Yeah,
he is. Yeah. Jackie's like living a nice life, and she's got they've got a new front room every 6 months, and she doesn't really know where the money's coming from. Anyway, it comes out that he's been and he's been working with I think Gary, who was Lindsay's boyfriend at the time. They've been, I think, if I'm right, the way that got out, if I'm not mistaken, is that they sold some heroin to a DJ or a musician or something like that, and that heroin turned out to be uncut, pure, and he's obviously injected it into himself, and bang, he's dead. I think that's how it got out. Yeah. And then Little Jimmy turned up. Little Jimmy had gone down the same path as...
Little Jimmy was also in Grange Hill, and Little Jimmy had been in the French Foreign Legion or something.
But I think he quit that because he got into the gear himself, and he comes back to the UK and he's got some strap to himself, and he's on.
But he'd been in France, hadn't he?
Yeah, but that's just the thing. He owed money to people he shouldn't owe money to, etc. And they come looking for him, and little Jimmy's hiding his drug taking from Dad. Anyway, it all comes tumbling out.
Little Jimmy was the actor. The guy who played him was a good actor.
Well, yeah, he pulled it off well enough. But I think the bad guys eventually got hold of Little Jimmy and killed him. Which was the thing.
Yeah, I remember that.
And then the next thing you know, the Posh family turn up, known as actually called the Simpsons. It happens. The Posh family, and the little lad Danny. He's right? Yeah, they were the one where the two kids were having the incestuous relationship out in Georgia.
Yeah.
Remember that rather uncomfortable story. And the little lad Danny, he's like a computer whiz, and so he gets Jimmy a fake degree or something.
That was it. Yeah.
He gets him a fake degree or a fake teaching qualification, and gets him a job, and he gets a job as a teacher off the back of it.
Yeah.
So he's teaching, and he's actually, and it's odd really, because like, given what he went to jail for, and given his history of being like a dealer of a Class A drug, you'd have thought that a career as a teacher would be out. So there must be some. I'd have to go back and watch it. There'd have to be some. Sorry?
It's Soapland, though. I mean, EastEnders have done stuff way worse than that.
Yeah, I think he did lose the job in the end. So there must have been something he was concealing that got out.
Yeah, because I remember he ended up working in a McDonald's or something.
Yeah, he ended up flipping burgers. You're right.
EastEnders have done like crazy storylines before.
Yeah, and that was the thing. Is Jimmy in the plot, and this is where his acting went down the toilet because he went mad in Brookside as well. He went.
I remember him like saying seven, like he'd say like numbers of how he was stressed he was. I remember once he went back on the gear, and his wife chucked it all down the toilet. And he's like, "Oh no! Do you know how much you've thrown away? You've killed me."
Yeah, I paid 200 quid for that.
Do you remember it though? His wife chucked it all down the toilet. He's like, "No!"
Yeah. Oh god.
Which in reality, if someone is addicted to drugs and you throw all their drugs down the toilet, you could probably that's probably going to kill them. You should probably like call an ambulance because withdrawal symptoms can actually kill you.
Yeah, it's and what do you do in that situation? Obviously, in an ideal world, it's like if someone's an alcoholic, you know, you can't just go cold turkey.
No, that'll kill you. That will kill you.
It is kind of gradually weaning you off it by the dose sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's but yeah, and then I'm sure he played this kind of ridiculous mad guy towards the end of the series, didn't he? But the other, he kind of became Professor Jimmy. It was kind of, I don't know, I kind of went off him. I got off the show by then. But the one thing I remember is Dean Sullivan, the guy who played him. I'm pretty sure he approached Coronation Street once, right? And he said, "How about I come into Coronation Street as Jimmy Corkill?"
Really? That like a Hulk Hogan joining WCW type thing.
The invasion angle, right? No, I think it was just him.
Like like him and then Sinbad shows up. And then Mick comes along like, let's take over this street. Like the Scots.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Would he be the third man though, Mick Johnson?
Oh my God! It's Mick! It's Mick!
But whose side is he on?
Mick Johnson walks into the Rovers, and then like clotheslines Ken Barlow or something.
DDT's Les Battersby. Yeah, right. But
it's Mick Johnson. He's here. He's finally here.
Right. You're enjoying this a bit too much, I think. That could be a top 10 list. Top 10 Brookside plots. Do you remember when Mick Johnson had the crazy teacher stalker?
Yeah.
Ended up pointing a gun at it.
Yeah. Am I wrong in remembering that Mick Johnson was also like one of those low-key people that was actually rock hard? He wasn't like a Phil Mitchell throwing his weight around. He was just like low key, like sort of like Brookside's Jim McDonald.
No. Jim McDonald was like Phil Mitchell, though, wasn't he? In the sense that he kind of put his hard man credentials out there. I think
Jim McDonald was like nice. Like basically, he was like nice, whereas Phil Mitchell wasn't.
No, Phil Mitchell was kind of a bit of a ghoul, wasn't he? And still is.
Yeah. Whereas like Jim McDonald, you could imagine like, hello, like if you walked into over there, what about you? You all right there, son?
Do you reckon Jim McDonald's the kind of guy who, like, you know, as long as you don't take the piss or anything, he's all right?
Yeah, basically, yeah. But if you take liberties, he's gonna like kill you. Yeah, he's gonna absolutely kill. And plus, he's like you said once, he's one of those guys with 100 rounds in him.
Yeah. It's quite good when he goes around that Jez Quigley's place and knocks a snot out of him.
Yeah, Jez Quigley just thinks like, oh yeah, whatever, old man. He's like laughing at him, like, yeah, just get out of it. I can do what I want. I'm Jez Quigley, and he's like, no, this is Jim McDonald, mate. Don't be stupid. And he actually he doesn't use any weapons or anything. Jim McDonald, he actually kills him with his hands.
Yeah, he's no. He puts him in hospital, and then I think Jez Quigley, something happens where he has like there's some sort of seizure,
internal bleeding or something.
Yeah. He actually ends up next to Steve McDonald in the hospital, and he tries to switch Steve McDonald's life support machine off, but he keels over and dies while he's trying to do it. So
everyone's hard until Jim McDonald comes along.
Well, there you go. I mean, like, you know, he doesn't look like an athlete, does he? But he's got 100 rounds in him. He's the Lord Stephen Regal of Weatherfield, isn't he? He's the Fit Finlay of Weatherfield. That's
that's about analogy. Fit Finlay.
Far better analogy. Yeah. That is well worth a watch. That was it. What's her name? I think it was Jenny Swift, the teacher, and she actually she ends up pointing the gun at Mick Johnson. But you're right. The only Mick Johnson story I remember was the roid rage one. The one where he becomes a bodybuilder and he starts weightlifting and he starts taking steroids. And he turns and he stops being chilled out for a while and he turns all angry and nasty with everybody.
I just remember thinking, oh, Mick's nice. He's a nice bloke. Yeah. He's a nice fella. Mick's nice, and Sinbad's nice. Actually, everybody on Brookside was actually like nice.
Well, there are a few exceptions, like no, but I mean, like you're right about Mick Johnson. He can actually be quite handy if you mess with him.
Yeah, Mick Johnson, not like Phil Mitchell style, like constantly grumpy, angry, unfriendly.
Well, I thought Phil Mitchell's a bully as well. That's the other thing. Yeah, he targets people who are minding their own business.
But I think Grant was harder.
Yeah, Grant, I think the thing is Grant was a legitimate hard bastard. Phil Mitchell was just like a bully and a drunk.
Yeah. Whereas I think was Grant. I don't know. What was Grant's story? Was it?
Grant went into the Paras or something, didn't he?
Something like that. Yeah.
But,
I remember Grant like beating up Sharon's boss. Yeah, Grant was a bully too, though.
Well, it could be, but he was, and not to the extent that Phil was. And, I'll tell you what, Phil played, because obviously he can't get drunk. Drunk Phil, Steve McFadden, the actor, plays him brilliantly, doesn't he?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like drunk Phil is like extremely amusing, right?
EastEnders for actors is brilliant. Like the guy who played Nick Cotton, what a great actor.
Yeah. There's a villain for you, a proper bad guy. I mean, like Brookside did have a few bad guys in it. I mean, Jimmy Corkill was a bad guy who became a good guy later on. There was Barry Grant, wasn't there, who was kind of a he was a gangster, but there were always gangsters about who appeared in the show. Nick Cotton was a really good soap villain. Yeah,
Nick Cotton just outstanding. Yeah, outstanding. The guy who played him, the guy who played Nick Cotton was an outstanding actor. Just did it just brilliantly. Especially when he came back, and I think he pretended to his mum that he'd he'd found religion, and his mum's like, "Oh, brilliant!" And it was all just like a ruse to get money.
This was like, and the thing about that, carrying back to the very early thing about when we're talking about characters in fiction or drama, is that character was so brilliantly designed. Because what makes Nick Cotton such a dynamic and believable character is that it's that deviousness, it's that ability to fake it, it's that ability to to play nice when he wants something, and it's and we've all met a Nick Cotton in real life, whether it's male or female, we've all met them. The person who, this is the thing about it's whatever it is, the con artist, the bogus roofer, or the the 25-year-old supermodel who falls in love with a 93-year-old oil billionaire. They all They all know that game of fakery, don't they? And then Nick Cotton nails it, absolutely nails it. And and the great thing is obviously they've written they've thought about behind the scenes. They've gone, all right, what would be he's exiled from the family. I presume there's been some sort of problem, and Dot's thrown him out. What would be the one thing that Nick could do to get another chance out of her? It would
convert to Christianity. Yeah.
Say you're a Christian. Absolutely.
Say you've found God. And
yeah.
Poor Dot.
Well, she's not
one. But then Coronation Street had its own Nick Cotton in Terry Duckworth.
Well, it's had Pat Phelan as well, and what's his face? Way worse than that. What's his name? Richard Hillman. Richard Hillman.
Yeah, but I'm on about like people who have good parents but then bad sons. Like Jack and Vera were like good people,
Right.
but their son was just like super bad in Terry Duckworth.
Possibly they were too good. Possibly it was spoiled. Who knows?
But I mean, Jack and Vera were really interesting in that they were sort of comedy relief, but then every now and again there'd be like some serious storyline with them.
Yeah. Well, they got diddled out of money by. Didn't they get diddled out of money by Hillman? They did, didn't they? They were caught up in that.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
And Hillman promised he could print money for them, and took a lot of money off them, and was actually propping up the. It was propping up the lifestyle. The holidays and all that. That whole plot story is on YouTube. Also, 10 hours on it.
God.
But it's well, I wouldn't watch all 10 hours, but it is interesting. It is interesting to watch maybe the end of it.
Soaps were well written in those days.
Yeah, they were. I think everything was a bit better than those. So maybe it's nostalgia. I don't know, but I think everything was a bit better and just a bit more thought and care went into stuff than it does now.
Yeah. Like, I remember when there was this, probably one of the creepiest storylines from soaps, I remember, is when Martin and Gail invited this to babysit their kids, and she became kind of like obsessed with Martin. She was the babysitter, and it was a really creepy storyline. I think she was Irish. She was called Carmel or something.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I remember that.
Do you remember the one with the online groomer? You know, the one who said that. Yeah, that was the one. Yeah.
Yeah.
It actually was Peter, the hairdresser in Brookside, because there was a lot of traction between the soaps, wasn't there? In terms of actors.
Yeah.
It was like football. They do a swap deal.
Yeah, definitely.
It's like that phase when EastEnders had anyone who'd ever been on the bill in it.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
It's like EastEnders was Lou Macari and the bill was Stoke. Go on.
What was your number one Channel 4 programme?
My number one Channel 4 programme was, go on, have a guess what it was.
Football Italia?
Yeah. So for Italian football. Football Italia.
I had that at number one, but my number two was Twin Peaks.
Right, okay. Yeah, it's very subjective because it's about what you like as well.
Yeah,
so,
I also had TFI Friday in there, but as we said before, it probably was a good idea, but just why pick Chris Evans?
Yeah, I mean, Chris, I don't know. It's a great idea for a show. It was a very good show in many ways.
I'm not as anti Chris Evans as you, though. I don't find him as annoying as, say, Jeremy Clarkson.
I didn't say I didn't find Jeremy Clarkson annoying, but what I find annoying about Jeremy Clarkson is probably a very different thing, in that there's a certain type of person who almost seems to think that Jeremy Clarkson is a sort of go-to guy for an opinion on stuff. Like there are people who actually take Jeremy Clarkson very seriously.
Yeah, but they're not very bright.
Yeah, and think that like he represents some sort of countercultural thing, when actually he's just
he's just some like loudmouth boomer.
Yeah, has he got a collar in the sun? He must do.
Probably, I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean,
he used to write in the sun, didn't he? I mean, it's about where he belongs.
About that level. He's about that level.
Yeah, I mean, okay, it's like a lot of things in life, mate. Which is that it's great as long as you don't take it too seriously. Look, if you want to read Jeremy Clarkson for light relief and a laugh, it's like reading the Beano or a Mucky magazine. Okay, it has its place as long as you don't do it all the time and you don't do it too seriously. It's fine. It's just. It's just when people break those golden rules, and they start actually thinking that Jeremy Clarkson's got something meaningful to say when he hasn't.
No, not really. I mean, he's just sort of the voice of Southern England boomers.
Yeah, it's like he's a good example of that silent majority that never shuts the fuck up. No, that's how silent they are.
Yeah. And I think he's an exclusively almost like a Southern England thing, not even a Northern England. He's very much a Southern England phenomenon. Like I don't see a Jeremy Clarkson coming out of Yorkshire or Scotland.
No, or even Lancaster or Preston for that matter. I know what you mean.
No, not at all. Not at all. Like he's a complete, like if you think of sort of the equivalent people that I would say, like these straight talking people from Lancashire or Yorkshire, I would say David Lloyd or Geoffrey Boycott, and they're infinitely more intelligent than Jeremy Clarkson.
Well, yeah. Well, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I know Boycott would probably have similar kind of views on a lot of things to Clarkson. I've not followed Lloyd that closely for a long time. But
he's quite. He's quite a witty, straight talking sort of guy.
He is.
His personality is quite affable. He's obviously intelligent, well spoken.
Yeah. But I'd say Lloyd's probably a bit more chirpy and friendly than the other two people you mentioned. Boycott always struck me as someone. I think Boycott, after his illness, he mellowed somewhat because that will have that effect on him, on most people. He had a brush with death, didn't he? And it's like he was notably more chilled out after that.
Geoffrey Boycott, not somebody I would enjoy listening to. David Lloyd is.
No. To be fair to Boycott, he was notably mellower after that because that's just a human thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
It just is. If you come very close to dying, it makes you think about things a bit. It makes you think about, God, I've not got that long left. Maybe I should focus more on making friends and keeping them.
Yeah.
Whereas, Lloyd, he's always struck me as a bit like a very chirpy and friendly guy. Have you ever heard that story about him and Jason Gallion?
Jason
Gallion, the former Lancashire and England batsman.
Yeah. I haven't heard the story, no.
All right, it's a very funny story. So he says, basically what happened was that, and apologies, Lloyd, if I've got any of this wrong. We're with you.
This story.
No. So Lloyd, there was a whole bunch of them on YouTube. David Lloyd tales. If you want to share,
I've watched them.
Yes, there's the one about Jason Gallion, and he hears a few stories about Jason Gallion where he goes, he goes to him after a training session. He goes, Jason, got a minute? He goes, I just want to ask you a quick question. He goes, in your opinion, he said, do you think you've got a bit of a lifestyle issue? If you know where I'm going. He goes, well, the fact that you're asking me that question indicates you've heard something, and that I might. Yeah? He goes, well, do you fancy meeting up and going somewhere quiet to discuss it? And he goes, so what he did was, he said, he took me to TGI Fridays, right? And he goes, and we had a few pints, and then he got me on the Sambucas. Then he left me with a bill.
Oh no!
We went to have a meeting to discuss whether he thought he was drinking too much.
Yeah. He's quite a healthy guy, isn't he, David Lloyd?
Lloyd is, and I'm Jason Gallion's all right.
His son's an amateur bodybuilder.
Mm. Yeah, and he was good fun, David Lloyd, and you imagine he was,
he's also a supporter of a little company called Lancashire Tea.
I know. Yeah.
Other teas are available, but Lancashire Tea is a very nice tea that I think people should try. Other teas are available, but Lancashire Tea is a lovely one.
I've seen it in Boots before. That's where I have seen Lancashire Tea.
Yeah, I actually took some back to Spain with me, and it's lovely. Yeah, Lancashire Tea.
Well,
support Lancashire Tea.
Well, we've got the other one we've got is we've got a top 10 list there. We've got a top 10 list that we're going for, the top 10 teas.
Oh, right, yeah. Okay, that's a tricky one. That's a tricky one.
All right. So right, I tell you what, I'll do a quick trivia question. I'll give you the answer in a minute. Okay. So the question is this: who was the last English football manager, right, to manage the team that won the top division of English football? So who was the last English manager to win the top division of English football?
Okay, let me think. Was it with Leeds United?
Oh, God, well done.
Was it in 1992?
It was.
So that would make it Howard Wilkinson?
Former teacher, yeah.
Yeah. That's just a stab in the dark.
Well done. No, that is correct. But it's amazing. It's amazing that we haven't had an English manager win the English league since 1992, isn't it?
We had 2 Scottish ones.
Since 92, it'd be Dalglish and Ferguson, yeah.
Yeah, with Liverpool and Blackburn and Manchester United.
Yeah, no, Liverpool was not. Liverpool with Dalglish was in 90. That's last time. Last time he won it with Liverpool. Yeah, George Graham won it in 91, of course, right?
Yeah, George Graham. Yeah, with Arsenal. Yeah.
Yeah, back before he started sort of picking up brown envelopes and little chefs, obviously. Right.
Yeah, but there does seem to be a real lack of talent in English managers.
Yeah, it's a peculiar thing, isn't it? It's I don't know whether English managers are sort of tactically inferior or what, or
Curiously, not with Scottish managers though, because David Moyes won the Conference League with West Ham.
He did, but I think
making him the first manager since Bobby Robson, British manager, to win a European trophy. British manager.
Who did Bobby Robson win it with?
Sorry, not Bobby Robson. Brian Robson. He was English. Yeah.
No. Bobby Robson. Was it Bobby Robson managing Barcelona? You mean?
No. Bobby Robson. He managed Barcelona. He won the Cup Winners' Cup with Barcelona. Yeah.
Oh right, yeah, he did. Yeah, in
with Ronaldo, Stoichkov, Guardiola.
Yeah, you're right. I'm just trying to think.
He didn't win the league with Barcelona, but he won the Super Cup, and which is I don't know, kind of the Super Cup's a weird one. How to describe the Super Cup? There isn't really comparison in the UK with the Super Cup.
No, it's like is it like the Charity Shield?
No, it's weirder. It's weirder. Especially back then, it was. Oh my!
Was it 2 teams? Was it either the top 2 in the league, or the league winners against the cup winners, or?
It back then in the 90s, it changed year to year. Now there's 4 teams in it, and it's played in Saudi Arabia. It's one of the weirdest cups, apart from the Intertoto Cup. I would say the Spanish Super Cup, Supercopa, could have a live stream of its own. It is bizarre. It is bizarre. Right.
Because typically, whether it's a Charity Shield, obviously you have the Super Cup for Italia. That's always been around.
But the Super Cup is, it's taken more seriously than the Community Shield. It's basically there's an attitude in Spain of, if there's a cup, win it.
It's a trophy's a trophy. Yeah.
Yeah. There's no Mickey Mouse trophies. It's just like, win it.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. Conference League, Champions League, Supercopa, Copa del Rey.
To be fair, I'm going to go in a minute. Okay. To be fair, most people who walk past the trophy cabinet don't stop and look at each individual trophy. They just go, "Whoa, look at that! It's got a lot of stuff in it." So there's some logic in that. I'm just trying to think back a bit further here. Who was the last English manager to win a European trophy with an English team then?
Oh.
I think I know the answer to that as well, because Roy Hodgson...
Newcastle win the Intertoto Cup with...
That would be Glenn Roeder, wouldn't it? But...
with Glenn Roeder.
Does that really count?
I don't know. It's a European trophy. It's about the size of a mobile phone, but it's still a trophy.
Yeah, well, I think in terms of the major 3, I think we're talking Howard Kendall, the 80s with Everton.
Yeah, probably.
We're going that far back.
Yeah.
There you go.
that Everton team was something special. But yeah.
We'll get Gary back on to discuss it soon. Right, Terrell, I've got to go, mate. I've got places to be actually. I'm just before certain places shut. So
okay,
I'm going to thank you for being on the show, mate. And
I hope everyone's enjoyed it as much as I've enjoyed being on it.
Lovely, same here. Lovely. I will catch you all on Friday with a guest will be Lee, hopefully, Lee Richards. All right?
Look forward to it. I'll be there, guys.
Cheers, mate.
Thank you. Bye.